Hello everyone, much love, peace. Today I'm going to talk about my ODSP story. So basically how I came to be on ODSP and how that all took place. So it may be a bit longer of a video. I will try to, if need be, break it down into a few videos so that it's easier for you. Now, to start, I didn't need ODSP for a long time. I was okay, but then I had a mental and emotional breakdown, and well, that accompanied with my physical and other mental health concerns. I now, well, I lived in, at the time I lived not in Ontario, so it wouldn't have been ODSP, Ontario Disability Support Program. It was the British Columbia Disability, which there it was PPMB, or which is the one I started with after what was their welfare general assistance, and then I went on to PPMB, which is people with persistent multiple barriers to employment. People with persistent multiple barriers to employment. And then from there, which is like disability type 1 and type 2. I believe it used to be the same in Ontario, that there was type 1 and type 2. One was a more severely disabled and not as severely. But PPMB, or people with persistent multiple barriers, that took me a while to get, and it was more than welfare but less than a full disability. And I didn't have to look for work, and it had many support systems, and I went to different programs and one of which, just before I moved from BC to Ontario, which coming to Ontario, when you leave one province to the other, when it's not a CPP pension, Canada Pension Plan, it's not like the CPP. The Canada Pension Plan travels with you all across Canada, whereas the provincial ones don't. So all the time I spent getting it qualified for it in British Columbia, and the rules and regulations and everything for their disability were gone after I moved here. They gave me a few checks, about 2 or 3, and then because I came at first just to take care of my mom, who had had a health crisis, and then I was going to go back. But I stayed long term to help out my mom and taking care of my mom and help out my sister and some other family members and whatnot. So I took, and in leaving that behind and not going back and proving a BC address, signing some documents in a British Columbia office, I no longer had the British Columbia disability, and I looked for work and looked for work and looked for work and got on social assistance, which is welfare, Ontario Works, whatever you want to call it. It's technically now Ontario Works. And the looking for work in that, I ended up having another breakdown. I couldn't do it. I wanted to, I tried, but I couldn't do it. So then I started the long process of going to a disability office in Ontario, and I started it in Gravenhurst, Ontario. So then I went to a Bracebridge local office and got my papers and my documentation, and that now I believe you can get it in Gravenhurst. I may be wrong about that, so if you live in Gravenhurst and you know, correct me please. If it's still in Bracebridge, or if you can get your papers in Gravenhurst now, let me know in the comments below. But for me, I had to go to Bracebridge and got the envelope, and you have a certain amount of time to fill out your section, get a doctor to fill out their section. You can get help with your section and that. It's not something that you have to do alone. I struggled and I had help. And I got the papers done. The doctor was very negligent, and when I came out to him, when I first came out, and I came out to him as transgendered, he totally didn't fill out things that he knew would get me flagged and denied. He purposely left things that would get me denied when they were missing. And yeah, that hurt. Then after I filled out that papers, in 6 months to a year, I waited and waited and waited and waited, calling the number to check on if there was progress and seeing, and then the papers got sent back to me, and I had to get more information, and they contacted me, and I had to get more information and send that to them. About a year later, I got my first denial. I was turned down. I cried, and I cried, and I cried, and I cried, and I freaked. I contacted my support person that had helped me fill out the application and whatnot, and they said, don't worry, nowadays most people get denied. So I took a deep breath. We filled out the papers for an internal review, which is step 2 if you get refused on step 1. My mom got approved after step 1. She didn't have to do an internal review. Okay, so then I did the internal review. That came back in maybe a month and a half, 2 months. That came back rather quickly, and it was another denial. I cried and cried and cried again. I was devastated. I thought, okay, I'm done. It's done. I'm turned down. I don't know what I'm going to do. Having to look for work is going to kill me. I can't do this. I can't work full-time worth the salt with beans to look after myself. There's no way. I can't do it. I want to, but I can't. And then I was with my helper worker again, and I was told that there was actually a step 3. You apply, they take a long time. If you get denied, you do an internal review. If you get denied with that again, then you go to Tribunal. And before I could actually go to Tribunal, which I would have had to go to like Toronto or whatnot, because there wasn't, or wait a long time for them to come to Gravenhurst. But I actually moved because of transgender bashing and phobia against me when I lived in Gravenhurst, and not enough things for me to do and that. So I moved to Toronto, which was actually great, and the hearing could come up faster there. Just a moment, forgive me. Allergies. Sorry about that. But when I got out here, it took about maybe 4 or 5 months before I went before the Tribunal. I went before the Tribunal in December, I was really, really scared. I not only had a lawyer with me, a legal aid that was there to represent me and help me through, but they couldn't, the other support person was from the 519 in Toronto. They were there to support me and be with me, and they didn't come in the tribunal room, just me and my lawyer and the lady that was from the tribunal that ran it. I was lucky enough that there was no ODSP representative at my tribunal, so I was already like clicking my pen, wringing my hands, pretty much crying and stressed and freaked. My support friend couldn't come in, but they were out in the waiting area waiting for me, and they were awesome when they could be with me. But in the meeting, they asked me about the doctor. They asked me about how certain parts of my disability affected me and all that, and a whole bunch of questions, a whole whack of them, and a lot of questions my lawyer could answer, and thankfully, so I didn't have to answer some of them. My lawyer did. My lawyer was awesome. And I got out of the tribunal. I had no idea if I was denied or accepted, and I told my friend how things went and how I felt, and he helped me calm down and take a deep breath, took me out, and we had like coffee or hot chocolate or that, and relaxed, and then for a short, and then he had to go to another meeting to support someone of that. I believe it took a month or less, and, or no, because that was December. It took a couple months, because it was in February, because it was close to my birthday, because my birthday is February 10th, so I know it was around my birthday. And I got the phone call, and then I got the letter a few days later telling, well, my lawyer's office called me first, telling me that I was approved. And I asked her if she was kidding with me, because I had been turned down not once but twice. And she said no, the tribunal believed that after reviewing your case and how you were at the tribunal and whatnot, that it's evident that you are disabled. A lot of people that are deemed mental health eligible, you get denied in the application, and you get denied in the internal review, and then you get it in the tribunal, because a lot of these mental health issues you can't understand or know them. It's like an invisible, you can't see that someone's in pain that has fibromyalgia. Like I have fibromyalgia. It's one of my illnesses. You don't know, you expect that because I wear glasses that I have 20/20 vision with them, when I still can hardly see. So when you don't actually see, like a broken bone, you see the cast. If you see a brace or someone that walks with walking braces and whatnot, you can see that. I use a power wheelchair or a walker. You can see that person's using that. You can see the disability. It's harder for things that are invisible to the naked eye. And when you go into the tribunal, they actually see that and they can witness it better and see how it's affecting you. And by that, then they can deem you eligible or non-eligible. And in my case, I was deemed eligible. So it took 2 denials and then that. And in all the whole process, from getting the papers, filling them out and sending them in, to going to tribunal and getting approved, I was in hell, and it took just over 2 years. Now, the beauty of that is I got back paid from the time of the application until the approval. So I got almost $10,000 of back pay that I used to buy some things that I really needed and help get first and last month's rent and that kind of thing. Now, please, if you get turned down when you do the application, do the internal review. If you get turned down, keep going until they tell you that you've exhausted every avenue. Because if you keep going, your back pay, or whatever it's called at that time, is going to build until when you get approved. If you do, then you'll get all of that. But if you go, I'm sorry, my insulin pump is bleeping because my sensor is done, so it's trying to find it when I didn't put a sensor on because it expired so late. But anyhow, if you apply and you stop after the internal review or after the initial application, and say you've gone about a year and you start all over instead of continuing, and you get approved a year in, you lost that second year's back pay. So you'll get 1 year's back pay instead of 2 if you had stuck with it. I know it's hard. I know it's scary. I know it's frightening. I know you don't know if you're going to be able to make it through, but please, 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 please try, because it's worth it, and get the supports that you need. Go to legal aid, there's community supports, find out where they are in your community, because there are people that are their job is to help you fill out your ODSP application, to take your hand and help you through the entire process. So stick with it. And if you have any comments, or share, if you feel up to it, share your disability, getting your disability story down below. Share that with us. Talk with everybody. Comment. Please subscribe. I do a lot of ODSP related videos. I also talk about other issues that I deal with in my everyday life, my chronic illness such as fibromyalgia, retinitis pigmentosa, and all that. But a lot of my videos I deal with right now are pertaining to Ontario Disability Support Program, ODSP. So subscribe if that's what you want, and comment, share, and enjoy the videos. And if nothing else, I hope that you get at least one thing out of my videos, each video, because that's my goal, is to try and help others, that you don't have to struggle the way I did. If I can help it, if I can help you to not have to struggle through some of this stuff. Peace, much love, bye for now.